What happens when newly released records reopen uncomfortable chapters around royal connections and pull unexpected names back into the spotlight? Just when many believed the Epstein document trail had revealed all it could, a fresh layer of correspondence is raising difficult new questions around debt, judgment, and association. If you're fascinated by the untold stories of the British royal family, the decisions that shaped the monarchy, and the complex dynamics behind the crown, then you absolutely need to be subscribed to Crown Desk. Hit that subscribe button now because we're uncovering insights you won't find anywhere else. Let's dive in. Over the past several years, waves of court documents and investigative releases connected to Jeffrey Epstein have repeatedly reshaped public understanding of who was in his orbit and how those relationships functioned. Each new batch tends to produce headlines, but also confusion. Names appear, emails surface, fragments of conversations are quoted, and context often arrives slowly, if at all. In the latest round of reporting tied to newly surfaced Epstein-related files, attention has turned toward Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Multiple outlets have reported that archived correspondence appears to show Ferguson contacting Epstein in 2009 while he was serving his Florida jail sentence, allegedly seeking advice related to her financial difficulties. The reports center on email exchanges and third-party communications discussing debt, potential business arrangements, and creditor management. Before going further, it's important to anchor the basics. Sarah Ferguson divorced Prince Andrew in 1996, but retained the courtesy title Duchess of York. Her financial struggles over the years have been widely reported and are not new. Public records and prior interviews confirm that she faced significant debt pressures in the late 2000s and entered several commercial partnerships to stabilize her finances. That background is established fact. What is newly discussed is the claim, based on media reporting of document releases, that she reached out to Epstein directly during that difficult financial period. According to those reports, an email dated July 2009 shows Ferguson describing Epstein as a true friend while asking for guidance on a proposed deal from a wealthy British businessman who was considering helping clear her debts in exchange for a share of future profits. The businessman's spokesperson has reportedly confirmed that discussions about a potential financial arrangement did occur, but also stated he had no knowledge that Epstein was being consulted and had no dealings with him. Now here's where careful distinction matters. The existence of reported emails is not the same as verified legal findings. While journalists are citing document archives, not every quoted message has yet been publicly authenticated line by line in court summaries accessible to general readers. That means these communications should be treated as reported content, not adjudicated fact. The difference is critical. The reported correspondence also references an intermediary, described as a London-based associate, who allegedly exchanged messages with both Epstein and Ferguson regarding creditor lists, revenue streams, and management structure. Some of the language attributed in these reports paints a picture of financial disarray and urgency. But again, we are dealing with excerpts presented through media filters, not full document context. Why does this matter now? Because timing shapes interpretation. These references are emerging during a period when scrutiny around anyone connected to Epstein is automatically heightened. Even peripheral or transactional contact is now viewed through a far harsher lens than it might have been at the time. Associations that once drew mild curiosity now trigger serious reputational questions. What many royal analysts note is that this creates a layered reputational challenge. There is the original association question, who knew Epstein and how well? Then there is the secondary judgment question, who chose to maintain contact after his conviction became public knowledge? And finally, there is the optics question, how those decisions look when revisited years later under modern standards. It is also essential to correct a misleading claim that appears in some versions of this story. Reports suggesting that recent document releases led directly to royal titles being stripped or residences being revoked are inaccurate. Changes to Prince Andrew's official roles and patronages occurred years earlier and followed separate processes. Sarah Ferguson has not been stripped of her Duchess title. When inaccurate timeline links appear in coverage, they can distort viewer understanding and inflate perceived consequences. From a broader perspective, what we are seeing is not a single revelation, but a continuing document-driven re-examination. Large investigative file releases tend to function like slow-moving storms. They don't produce one headline, they produce hundreds over time, each built on fragments. Patterns only become clear when enough fragments are verified and connected. There is also a human factor often overlooked in these discussions. Financial distress can lead people to seek advice from unexpected or even unwise sources. That does not automatically imply criminal alignment, but it does invite scrutiny of judgment. Viewers should be able to hold two thoughts at once. Contact can be real, and context can still matter. Based on patterns we've seen before with large archive disclosures, more clarification usually follows the first wave of headlines. Either primary documents are formally authenticated and expanded upon, or initial interpretations are narrowed and corrected. That second phase is just as important as the first, but it rarely gets equal attention. So what are the implications for the royal narrative overall? At minimum, it reinforces how long the Epstein shadow remains. Even years after his death, document trails continue to touch public figures and reopen closed conversations. For the monarchy, which depends heavily on public trust and symbolic integrity, repeated proximity, direct or indirect, to that story remains reputationally costly, even when no wrongdoing is established. It also highlights a media literacy challenge for viewers. When you see phrases like documents reveal or emails show, the next question should always be revealed by whom, authenticated where, and interpreted how. Responsible coverage distinguishes between verified records, reported excerpts, and unresolved claims. Sensational coverage often blends them. Where might this go next? Most likely toward document verification. Serious outlets will continue cross-checking exhibit numbers, metadata, and court references. If the correspondence is fully authenticated in accessible legal records, the story will become more concrete. If not, the story may narrow to a reporting controversy rather than a historical turning point.
For now, the key takeaway is measured clarity. There are credible reports that correspondence exists suggesting Ferguson sought financial advice from Epstein during a period of debt stress. There is no verified legal finding of wrongdoing attached to that contact. There are confirmed background facts about her financial struggles, and there are clear signs that some secondary claims around consequences are inaccurate. When complex stories resurface through document releases, the truth rarely arrives in one dramatic moment. It arrives in layers. And that leaves us with a question worth considering. In today's transparency era, should historical associations be judged solely by present standards, or by the full context of what was known at the time? Share your perspective in the comments. If you found this breakdown useful, like the video, turn on notifications, and watch our related deep dive on how document releases reshape royal narratives. Join the Crown Desk community, and we'll see you in the next report.